Yo, you touching my computer?
Yo, why you playing?
Like, today, whatever gripes you got to say it today.
It's just real life. It's just real life, shit, man. When you hear people that you love, you say keep what?
Huh?
I think that you think that you don't need me anymore, so you just gonna say what you want. I'm gonna tell you that you're gonna bite off more than you can chew when it comes to that with me.
Joe Budden is tired of Flip, and so is the rest of the cast. And episode 861 was a real glimpse into how bad things have gotten. And we're going to outline countless moments where Flip is on thin ice. And let's get right to it. So one of the most notable moments is when Flip touches Joe Budden's computer, damn near closing his laptop, with Joe, insinuating that Flip is going to be gone for a long period of time on his London trip, like 30 days.
And you said you got that London trip you was planning.
I am for 30 days, yep.
So Flip might be headed for another long break. Now, we also know Melissa Ford has been gone. It's going to be interesting to see if Melissa Ford comes when Flip is gone, because that might feed the narrative that there was a blow up between the two and that he had to choose. Let's see if she comes back in Flip's absence. Then there was a conversation about Flip going to anger management, but let's take it with a grain of salt because obviously he's doing it for content, and I don't think that links back to the show. After that, there's also a clip that I noted where Flip is talking about his exit.
Hey, Flip, you've been a thorn in my ass.
And he's talking about how the Joe Budden podcast is like a Rubik's Cube and they're moving things around.
And in front of us, too. Making moving pieces. Like in a Rubik's Cube, nigga, in front. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I got to make sure my shit is good.
So that means that Flip is aware that changes are being made and that he needs to take care of Flip the Network first, which has been what he is doing. He's taking care of his channel first. And to the Joe Budden podcast fan base, it might seem like he's being a terrible person, but to his own self-interest, he's prioritizing his passion. And that's finally some real insights into the dynamics between these two guys. Episode 861 is one we need to save because I think when things do burn down, we're going to go back and look to see just how bad it really went for Flip and Joe by this point. Then there's another instance of Flip being shut down when he's talking about battle rap. And Joe says, yo, we don't need to talk about this on this telecast.
Me too. I understand what you're saying.
And his broadcast is too big to have an Audi Boom segment.
Got it. Okay.
So what's your question?
Now, I know that happens a lot on this show, but when Joe Budden starts to bring up any minor detail to shoot someone down, that means he's fed up with them and he's done. Like you saw with Mona and Don't Call Me White Girl, right? When she gets there, he's invested in her. So he's not going to shut her down because he wants to see her grow. Whereas he's at his wit's end with Flip, and those days of him coddling Flip are over. Then Flip gets shut down during a conversation about Dame.
Let me ask you a question. You're doing that face again.
So I heard him say that. And
the body language was crazy. I mean, Flip was getting like his hand slapped down, like, yo, stop talking, little man. Like that type of energy. And I thought that was pretty wild, which is why I highlighted it. Then there's the infamous Parks moment where he checks Flip.
We can see, bro. We see.
I understand.
I'm not talking to you.
Well, I'm sitting here now. You are.
And I think, like many have noted, this is a representation about how the whole cast is tired of Flip.
When I go back and watch that, I come back here with ammo. When I used to do that, the show got halted and there was a lot of trouble. We had to stop the show. So I no longer do it. So
you used to do that?
I'm asking you.
Especially the people whose job requires more than talking. I'm talking guys like Ian, Joe, Parks, probably Erickson, all the people who have to do content, have to move cameras around, have to set up. They're tired of it. These people don't want to manage that personality no more. And they know that things would probably be a lot easier if Flip wasn't around. Then there's a time-honored Flip tactic where he pocket watches Joe.
I plugged up to the Bluetooth to hear an interview while I was in the shower.
Oh, yeah, this new surround sound shit you got, right? The shit you got around the whole crib.
You stop clocking me.
I went to your crib before.
Don't clock nothing that's going on in my crib.
Now, this time he was talking about Joe's Bluetooth speakers, and the cast ridicules him. Flip was in the house analyzing how much money he was making, which, if you remember, has been a common theme of disinterest for Joe. He doesn't like how much Flip pocket watches. There was even an episode where Joe Budden said pocket watching is one of the biggest issues in podcasting right now because everybody is seeing how much someone makes and then they feel entitled to making more as a result of what someone is making. Then another moment happens when Joe Budden wasn't interested in Flip's take about Terrence Crawford's ring entrance, questioning his information.
They said that he came out to that music to make fun of the UFC fighter that's been going at him. So there's a UFC fighter that's been going at him.
Who's they?
That's
Cite your sources.
the people online.
Also, when they asked Bud about what you're saying, Bud's response was, I've never seen that guy fight before, so I don't know what his music is.
Now, this is a benign subject, but the fact that Joe, once again, is not invested in anything Flip has to bring to the table is telling. I've laid out many moments where Flip is just being derailed. They're looking at him like, man, what is you talking about? Don't nobody want to hear about what you're talking about. You ain't even researched. And I think that's one of the common themes of Flip and Joe's relationship too, is that Flip, he doesn't prepare for the show. He just shows up and he's Flip. And that's why he's on thin ice. Parks has said it. Ian has said it. Joe has said it. Then Joe Budden shoots Flip down again, slapping his finger away and calling him Tyrant Gumble.
In your mind,
It always goes back to the music. It's always to the, if you're a musician.
are you able to see the formula that she needs to go to the next level?
Hey, when you start turning a Tyrant Gumble.
Now, that was real body language. And you even get to a point where Joe starts asking Flip, you good? You good? He does it twice.
Yeah, you cool?
I'm just listening to that.
Flip, what's up, man? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. What's up, man?
Even getting Flip so frustrated that Joe gets his hand grabbed by the Flipper.
I'm fine. How you doing? You all right?
That was very romantic.
Yeah.
Hey, you all right?
Hit him with the Ray Charles.
Good?
You do that again. Do it again.
There's just a lot of things happening. Allusions to fights, laptops getting closed, and I couldn't help but remember how this is so similar to Rory. Remember Rory? There would be a lot of mentions of a fight. People's laptops would get moved, and there would be discussions about, oh, how is this person going to end? How am I going to fire this person? And luckily for Flip, he has his own type of network that he could pay attention to, but still the tension is thicker than German guard dogs. This is just not a good sustainable situation. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm really gonna be invested in what happens with Queenzflip's London trip, because Flip said something like, oh, I'm gonna be going to the other side. And what does that mean? Does it mean he's gonna interview somebody? Does it mean he's gonna do an interview with somebody that Joe Budden doesn't rock with? And Joe even mentioned how Flip went to see Cardi B and he didn't even address the shots that she threw at Joe Budden. Just real douchey, jerky stuff people do to each other when they're fed up. Like, I think if Flip was doing what he needed to do for the show and handling his business, everything would be good. But as of now, the situation is critical. And I want everybody, man, go back and watch episode 861. This was a breaking point, not necessarily one that was really, really obvious, but it was subtle. Joe is fed up with Flip, and the passive aggressive BS was on level 10. So, man, it's getting bad up there. But let me know what you think in the comments. I know a lot of folks think like, oh, Danny, there really wasn't much here. But as I was listening, I was like, wow, this is really bad for the experience. I almost get the sense that Flip would have been encouraged to stay home just by the way Joe Budden was treating him. And that whole Parks snapping on him was also very telling, because if the supervisor is mad at you, it's one thing. But then when the person beneath the supervisor is mad at you, that means that it's permeating the whole culture. And Joe would even elaborate on it in the following episode, breaking down why Parks was fed up with Flip.
You know he be in his own way.
Parks was telling me about to do the Prize Picks ad, and he said it a few times, and Flip interjected in business that wasn't necessarily his. Parks put his little white foot down. Like, yo, hey, I wasn't even talking to you. Nothing you say right now even is important, man.
So that insight lets me know that maybe Joe and Parks talked about the whole situation, and Flip has overstepped. He should have never been trying to intervene with Parks helping to get the Prize Pick ad running, because it seems like there was a conversation off mic about how they need to execute the Prize Picks ad a little bit more. And I'm even sensing some resentment about the Prize Picks ad, not between the cast, but I gotta think like Joe's tired of reading that joint. He's a big proponent of listener experience. So the fact that he's reading a really loud, obstructive ad that does exactly what he speaks out against is interesting. I wonder how long the terms of that deal are and if he wants to bring it back. But it just doesn't seem like a Joe Budden type ad. Like the Cash app was a little bit less abrasive. It was more easier to integrate. This Prize Pick app is just like, as soon as I hear it, it doesn't feel smooth. It doesn't feel like something that you could listen through, and it's not integrated real well. And I think it's because it may not be something that they feel is paying enough for the amount of verbal real estate that it takes up. So that's why Joe is not that enthusiastic to read it, because when he first got it, it was like, oh, I can't wait to read it. Prize picks. And there was even allusions to previous episodes where Joe was speaking of how he needs to talk to Prize Picks. But like I said before, let me know what you think. Do you feel like episode 861 represents an interesting moment for the Joe Budden podcast in terms of the dynamic with Flip and Joe? I believe they're one big blow up from Flip just having to leave permanently or receiving some type of deal structure that he is no longer cool with, and you will see Flip out. A lot of channels are saying it, and I'm in agreement with them. But with that said, follow me on Instagram, The Stop TV. Follow me on Twitter, The Stop TV. Follow me on Patreon, The Stop. This is Danny from The Stop. Peace.